Welcome, everybody, to the Sunday edition of the Huddle Hub Podcast. My name is Metal Mike. Today, we are going to talk about all the news coming out of the world of football. We're also going to talk about the UFL as we are about to finish Week 8 today and get into the playoff race that is very, very hot right now. And we're going to dig deep into the NFL 2026 NFL schedule. We're going to talk about all the international, holiday, Thursday, Sunday, and Monday night games. We're going to talk about the bye weeks. And we're also going to talk about how many primetime games each team has. So we're going to cover. Normally we run 60 minutes here on the Sunday edition, but we may end up running just a little later today. We might. And to find that out, we got to get started. But before we do, make sure you head over to the Huddle Hub Podcast over on social media. On TikTok, X, Instagram, and on Epic Studios at the Huddle Hub Pod. You're going to hit that follow button. Over on the YouTube at the Huddle Hub Pod, you're going to hit that subscribe button. That's how you follow on the YouTube. And, of course, you're going to follow on the Twitch channel. All of our social media links are in the Twitch channel bio. You just go ahead and click on the one you desire to go to, because I know not everybody uses every social media. You hear all the time, I don't use TikTok. I don't use Instagram. I don't use this. I don't use that. The one you desire to is in there. So go ahead and click on it. Hit that follow button or subscribe if you're on YouTube. And help us build the Huddle Hub Podcast through the rest of the 2026 NFL offseason and beyond. So, guys, before today's show, I was thinking about this yesterday. And, a lot of, I want to say this offseason for the NFL has been very entertaining, to say the least. I want to say entertaining because a lot of things have happened that some fans didn't think would happen. And then there's been a lot of stuff that's been kind of predictable. As always, there's a lot of rumors, the A.J. Brown trade rumors coming up in June, him to New England. And it seems kind of inevitable that's going to happen because of the way that Howie Roseman in Philadelphia built the wide receiver room for the Eagles. But I'm going to say this right now. As of right now, it's just rumors. Right? It's just rumors. Like, there's no proof that it's going to happen. Yes, Howie Roseman built a what could be a stud wide receiver room. Going out and drafting Mekhi Lemon, sneaking up to number 20, and drafting Mekhi Lemon after he was on the phone with Pittsburgh almost all night in round 1. And then going out and getting Hollywood Brown, Devontae Wicks. He's got Devontae Smith. Or Dontavian Wicks. I'm sorry. Got the name wrong. I was close enough. But he goes out and gets these players to come in. And immediately people are, this is just A.J. Brown's replacement. This is just A.J. Brown's replacement. But we don't know for a fact that this trade's going to actually happen on June 1st. Do all signs lead to that? Yeah, they do. But what would happen if it didn't happen? What if this is all just, to get people hyped up for something? Philadelphia, New England in a big trade come June 1st. A.J. Brown. And that's the thing. That's the one thing that kind of makes me question these trade rumors. Because we know what the New England Patriots are getting. They're going to get A.J. Brown. They might get lucky and get a draft pick thrown into the deal. But what is Philadelphia's return? Right? What is the Eagles' return? That's something that really is not talked about so much. Is what will the Eagles' return be on this? Now, we know that there's been a lot of talk about, 2 first-rounders and a second-rounder, a first-rounder and 2 second-rounders, a possible player involved in this trade, like a Kayshon Boutte. There's no talk of what the Eagles' return is going to be on this. And when you listen to all the other trade rumors and this player's going to go and this is what they're going to get for it, whenever there's rumors, you always hear what the return's going to be. We don't know what the return's going to be on this because there's no talk of it. And that's why I'm a little skeptical on the A.J. Brown trade rumors. I am. As an Eagles fan, I'm a little skeptical on the A.J. Brown trade rumors because there's no talk of what the return's going to be for Philadelphia. But we know what New England's getting out of the deal. A.J. Brown and a possible draft pick. Because I think something else has to be thrown in there for New England. I don't think it's just a player for a couple draft picks. Like, yeah, that's the common thing. That's we see that, this player got traded to wherever in return, they get a 2027, third rounder and a 2028 sixth rounder, stuff like that. We get all that. And then sometimes there are draft picks thrown in with the player being sent to the other team. Right? But this is just Philadelphia giving A.J. Brown away. But what is the return is the question. And again, the rumors have been 2 first-rounders and a second-rounder, a first-rounder and 2 second-rounders. I even heard one rumor that there was a possible, first, second, and third round in there. 3 rounds in the same year. So, like, for the 2027 draft, they get the first rounder, the second rounder, and the third rounder. But we know most of the time after the third or fourth round, the guys that you draft are going to be practice squad guys. It's very rare that a guy in the fourth round or beyond becomes a starter. I mean, it happens. Look at Brock Purdy. I mean, he was Mr. Inevitable, and he became the starter in San Francisco, led them to a Super Bowl. It's rare cases of that. There's guys out there on defenses that have been drafted in the 6th round and are like superstar starters because they found a gem. But I guess the big question is what is the return for A.J. Brown is going to be the question. But you don't see a lot of people asking that. So I'm going to say this right now. If the A.J. Brown trade rumors are true, and A.J. Brown is being traded to New England come June 1st, what is Philadelphia's return? Because we don't hear a lot about what their return is going to be on him. And I can't be the only Eagles fan curious about this. I can't be. So the question lies is what is the possible return on this? And I want a significant answer. I don't want, well, it's rumored that it's a first and second round or 2 first and second or a first and 2 seconds. I don't want that. I don't want my answer to start off with it's rumored. I want significance. I want the answer to be come June 1st, if the Philadelphia Eagles trade A.J. Brown specifically to the New England Patriots, because that is who is the front runner for this trade, this is the return Philadelphia is expected to get. I don't want the answer to start off with it is rumored to be. I don't want that verbiage. Now, I know I'm starting to show off kind of with my Eagles glasses on, being the fan and everything like that, but I'm sitting back thinking about this week. For some reason, this is what I was thinking about this week as I was putting the show together and getting ready for today. That was a question that was just running through my mind is what is the A.J. Brown return? Because we don't hear a lot of significance to it. We just hear the rumors. I want a significant answer. I want to know that come June 1st, as a fan, I'm going to be comfortable to accept the move. Because I'm an A.J. Brown fan. I want A.J. Brown in a Philadelphia Eagles uniform, not only in 2026, but for the foreseeable future. So I'd rather get the whole, you know what? Everybody's backed out of this trade. A.J. Brown is an Eagle. If those words were to come out in a press conference, in a press release, I mean, I love that Howie is keeping, the optimism alive of A.J. Brown is still a Philadelphia Eagle. Because every conversation he is stuck in, he starts off with A.J. Brown is an Eagle. Well, yeah, he's an Eagle right now because it's not June 1st yet. So, yeah, that's going to be your answer, Howie. So any big-time reporters out there, please, on my behalf, Metal Mike, here at the Huddle Hub Podcast, next time you get an opportunity to sit down and talk to Howie Roseman, ask him about the possible return. What is he expecting to get for A.J. Brown? I'm sick of rumors. So please, he's expecting you to ask this question. He is. He's expecting you to ask this question about A.J. Brown. Flip it. Don't ask when the trade's going to happen, if the trade's going to happen, anything like that. Start off, this is how I want you to ask the question. Howie, we understand June 1st is coming up. There is a lot of talk about A.J. Brown. If the trade is to so much happen, what is your expected return on this trade? That's how I want you to ask this. Please. I'm genuinely asking you because there's no shot that I'll get to interview Howie before June 1st. Unless we can make a push for it on social media, that'd be great. You guys make a push for it. Say, Howie, Metal Mike at the Huddle Hub Podcast would love to interview you. That's it. Please start off with what is your return that you are expecting if it just so happens you trade A.J. Brown come June 1st. That's what I want. Okay. Now that I'm done with my 17-minute rant about A.J. Brown, because I know this has been news that's floating around for months now, and it's something that I've thought about for the past couple days as I'm putting today's show together, we're going to move on. Okay? We're going to talk about the news coming out of the world of football. We are going to talk about the Thursday, Sunday, Monday international holiday games in the 2026 NFL season. But first, we got to start off with the UFL. And week 8 has been a very interesting week 8 as the Orlando Storm kicked off the weekend against the Dallas Renegades. Okay? I'm going to say this right now. If you are a Dallas Renegades fan, your playoff hopes are done. You just lost your 5th game in a row against the Orlando Storm, 31-24 on Friday night. Okay, 5 losses in a row. If the Dallas Renegades make the playoffs, it is going to be to the fact that they need to win out, and they need a whole bunch of teams to lose. And that's just right there in front of us. 3-5, okay? They started this season 3-0. They just dropped 5 in a row. Biggest losing streak in United Football League history. It has to be. Now, I got to look up that history. I do. I got to look up the history. But I believe the Dallas Renegades on this 5-game losing streak is the biggest losing streak in UFL history, right? Now, the Orlando Storm went out and defeated the Dallas Renegades 31-24. The Orlando Storm ended up clinching the playoffs this week. So the Orlando Storm are the first of 4 teams that are in the playoffs in the 2026 UFL season. So here are some stats, quarterback stats from the game. Jack Plummer of the Orlando Storm, 24-36, 238 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions, 66.7 completion percentage, 85.2 rating. Not a bad game for Jack Plummer. Over for the Dallas Renegades, Austin Reed, 12-23, 134 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception, a 52.2 completion percentage with a 91.3 rating. Not a bad game by Austin Reed, but, I mean, Dallas, again, coming up short, losing to the Orlando Storm, losing their 5th game in a row, and the Dallas Renegades slowly falling down the standings in the UFL. I mean, they fell down to 6th place as of right now. And we still have 1 game left today that kicks off at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and that is the 2-5 Columbus Aviators taking on the 3-4 Birmingham Stallions. Okay, and the Stallions coming off a big win last week. So the Stallions are really trying to get their way back into the playoff hunt. I mean, at the moment, they are in 4th place. Okay, but if they were to lose today, then the Louisville Kings, the Louisville Kings actually moved up to 4th place at the moment. But if Birmingham wins today, then Birmingham takes over that 4th place spot again. So, but with the Kings, with what they did, and we're going to talk about that in a moment, with what the Kings did, waiting on Birmingham, that 4th spot is kind of what is being battled for right now. Because you look at the St. Louis Battlehawks and the DC Defenders going into this week, both 5-2, and the DC Defenders went out and the 2nd week in a row losing to the Louisville Kings. They played the Kings last week, right? And the Kings beat them 30-13. The Kings go out and beat the Defenders 30-30 or 33-30 this week. So it's like the Defenders said, "Oh, okay, you scored 30 points on us, so we got to score 30 on you this week." And the Kings were like, "Ha ha ha, we're going to beat you by 3." Like, I mean, the Louisville Kings winning 2 games in a row against a very hot DC Defenders team. It's like the Kings came in and just said, "You know what? We gotta put some water on this fire. This is too much." So the Kings go in for a 2nd week in a row and defeat the DC Defenders. First time at home, now in DC. Some stats, quarterback stats coming out of this game for the DC Defenders. Spencer Sanders, 7-15, 83 yards, no touchdowns and interception. Then Jordan Ta'amu came in. He went 2 of 4, 62 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. Spencer Sanders, a 36.3 passing rating, 46.7 completion percentage. Why Jordan Ta'amu, 50% completion with a 95.8 rating. Not bad for Ta'amu. I mean, I know he only had 4 attempts. He went 50%, but still coming out and throwing 2 touchdown passes. I mean, why not? Getting them on the board. But this Kings team seems to be a little too much for the DC Defenders. And here's the thing is, if you're a Defenders fan, you better hope you don't meet the Kings in the playoffs. Because that's going to be the deciding factor on who goes to the UFL championship. It's only a 4-team playoff. So it's basically 2 semifinal matchups, and the winners go and face in the UFL championship. So you better hope you do not face the Louisville Kings in the first round of the playoffs. Because as it sits right now, in first place is the Storm, the Battlehawks are in 2nd, DC's in 3rd, and Louisville is in 4th, right? So let's say DC goes out and loses next week, but Louisville goes out and wins. Louisville moves up to 3. And then we get to week 10, and Louisville wins again, and DC loses. DC can fall into 4th place. Louisville moves up to 2nd, depending on what the St. Louis Battlehawks do, and we got a Louisville Kings and a DC Defenders 3rd matchup of the season. And the Kings own the Defenders this year, which is nuts. Over on the other side for the Kings, Chandler Rogers, 11-20, 143 yards, touchdown, and an interception, 55% completion percentage, 73.5 rating. Great game by Chandler Rogers. And you're probably like, why do you say great game? He threw an interception. Well, I mean, you can't expect perfection from these guys. These are guys that are not in the NFL. They're playing basically you can kind of consider the UFL like minor league football, because there are talks about the UFL becoming the farm system for the NFL, which would be great. That would be great to see the UFL and the NFL partner up. Some of these teams become farm systems. I mean, Oklahoma City's getting a team next year, or is building their stadium to get their team running by 2028. Sorry, 2028. So we're getting a ninth team added in. It would not surprise me in the next couple months that there was an announcement about another team being added in to make it an even 10, because that's just weird to have 9 teams. I mean, you're going to stick with the playoff system you have where the top 4 teams make the playoffs. That's fine. 9 teams in that system's fine. But I think it feels weird because of the fact that I'm an even numbers guy. I'm not really much an odd numbers guy. But that's just my personal preference, So, yeah. In the nightcap last night, we had the Houston Gamblers take on the St. Louis Battlehawks, and the Battlehawks end up losing to the Houston Gamblers. Gamblers getting their 3rd win of the season, and the Battlehawks getting their 3rd loss of the season. Gamblers win 23-16. Some stats of the quarterbacks for the Gamblers: Hunter Decker, 15-22, 155 yards, 2 touchdowns, interception, 68.2 completion percentage with a 99.6 rating. Great job and great game by Hunter Decker. John Rye Plumley came in 2 or 3, -3 yards passing, 66.7 completion percentage with a 70.1 rating. That's a little rough for even a short period of time being on the field. Over for the St. Louis Battlehawks, Luis Perez, 26-47, 308 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions, 55.3 completion with a 64.8 rating. Not a bad game by Luis Perez, but it wasn't good enough for the St. Louis Battlehawks to go out and get their 6th win of the season. So tough go for the Battlehawks. And the Battlehawks move from second, or they're still in second place. The Defenders were in first, and they moved down to third. Orlando moved up to first. Orlando currently clinching the playoffs. And we do have a game this afternoon. Kickoff 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Fox. Columbus Aviators take on the Birmingham Stallions, as the Stallions are trying to maintain their 4th place status. The Kings right now, when you look at the standings, the Louisville Kings, they're in 4th place. But that's because they played one more game than the Birmingham Stallions. But if the Stallions win today, the Stallions bump right back into 4th place. And they're back into that playoff picture. So, but 3 playoff spots remaining as the Orlando Storm take one of them over the weekend here. And we're going to preview week 9 on the Tuesday edition of the Huddle Podcast, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time right here on Twitch and on YouTube, as we get deeper into the UFL season. I didn't update this. I got to update this really quick. We both got the win, and then we got 2 losses. So that kind of stinks. I got to update this record real quick. All right. At least we're kind of staying even par here with the UFL Pick Challenge. I am 15-17 on the season. John is 18-13. We do have the differential today. So we picked all the same teams in the first 3 games. But today, between the Aviators and the Stallions, I took the Stallions. John took the Aviators. So, now the Aviators and Stallions, they play today at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then just a week 9 preview. The Stallions travel out to take on the Aviators in week 9. But again, we're going to preview week 9 on the Tuesday edition of the Huddle Podcast, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time right here on Twitch and on YouTube. So, yeah. So that's that for the UFL. United Football League heating up. And as I tell you guys, if you are not watching the United Football League, you need to start watching. The UFL is freaking amazing. Love the UFL. So, what's up, Cam? How's it going? Thank you for joining me here on the Sunday edition of the Huddle Podcast. Let's talk about the news coming out of the world of football. The news coming out last night happened around 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time that Aaron Rodgers has made his decision to return to the Pittsburgh Steelers in the 2026 NFL season. Now, as I mentioned, Cam is in the chat. Me and him were having a chat about this because Cam is a Pittsburgh Steelers fan. And we Here's the thing is Cam has mentioned that this is the safe option for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and I mentioned that this is the best option for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And I think both arguments are relevant. Why? Because I say best because when you look at the free agent pool right now, it's quarterbacks. There's not a quarterback in the free agent pool that can go in and take this team to wins. I'm not saying the quarterbacks. Okay, let me rephrase that. Could those quarterbacks go out and get wins? They could. But would they? Now, when you look at the free agent pool of quarterbacks, there's 2 quarterbacks on that free agent list that I think, could possibly get the Steelers wins. And that is Teddy Bridgewater and Cooper Rush. Other than that, anybody else on that free agent list, I do not think could help the Steelers team. Okay? And that's why I say Aaron Rodgers was the best option out in free agency. Now, Cam's argument with it being the safe option, I agree with as well, because it is the safe option. You look at their quarterback room right now, it's Mason Rudolph, who has a 9-9-1 overall record in career. And then you got 2 quarterbacks who have not started or took a snap. Well, I believe Will Howard took snaps in a regular season game. But because he didn't start, he doesn't have a record. Okay? But you have Will Howard, who has not started an NFL game. You have Drew Aller, who just got drafted in the 3rd round, who I think is the Steelers' future. And that's just my opinion. Drew Aller, does he need footwork? Need to work on his footwork? Yes, he does. I mean, he is also coming off a very significant injury. So he needs to work on the footwork. He had these issues, a little bit of these issues at Penn State as well. But that's something that can be very easily fixed. I don't see it being a long-term problem. And if I was Pittsburgh and I was that front office, I would be saying to Aaron Rodgers, look, we understand you've been working with Will Howard, but we just drafted our future in Drew Aller, and we want you to work with him more. I think he's coming in to help prep Drew Aller. Now, there is talk, and even Omar Khan, who was on the NFL Network over the week, he mentioned about, there's possibilities they might be looking at a quarterback in next year's draft. I sit here as a football fan questioning, then why did you draft Will Howard last year? Why did you draft Drew Aller this year? Only to go into next year's draft and pick another quarterback. Now you're putting yourself in a position of, okay, we're going to throw youth on the field next year with no experience whatsoever and hope that he can get us to where we need to be. Instead of, we brought this savvy veteran in who has proven to be a winner in this league. And I understand he has not won a Super Bowl in a very long time. It's been a while since he has won, the Super Bowl against the Steelers. It's been a long time. I get that. But he's still a proven winner. He has gone out and won division titles. He has gone out and won playoff games. There have been a couple times he took the Packers to the conference championship game. I believe they made it the last time he was in a conference title game, I think was in 2020. I believe that's the last time the Packers made the conference title and Aaron Rodgers was under center. Yes, freak accident in New York, 3 snaps into the game. And then the following year was just, you started seeing the Jets kind of tear itself down. So yeah, Aaron Rodgers wanted to get out of that situation. And I don't blame him. Any player, any quarterback at the level of Aaron Rodgers would have said, get me the hell out of here. And then Pittsburgh came knocking. And they seen an opportunity. They did. And I think it was a good option to go out and get Aaron Rodgers last year, bring him in, and get you a 19th straight winning season. Now, is it still yet to be known whether he's going to come in and get you a 20th winning season? Yeah, it's still yet to be known. But I think it's more positive than not that he's going to come in and bring you another winning season. He's going to get you into the postseason. The question is he going to be able to help you get over that hump of losing in the wild card round or in the divisional round? Now, as we know, the only way you automatically get into the divisional round is clinching the number 1 seed. Is the Pittsburgh Steelers clinching the number 1 seed this year? No, that's not happening. They're not going to be at that level. So they got to go out and win a wild card game. The question is, are they going to win that wild card game as the AFC North champions and have a home game doing it? Or are they going to be a wild card team, seed 5, 6, or 7? Now, before Aaron Rodgers got signed yesterday, my first prediction was 6-11. That was my first prediction because of the unknown of who was your quarterback. But now Aaron Rodgers is in there. I think that's another 3, maybe 4 wins. 9-8, 10-7. You don't know what Baltimore is going to put on the field. Yes, on paper, Baltimore looks like a great football team, 13-4, 14-3, blah, 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 blah. It's all about what Lamar Jackson is going to be able to do. And as I said it weeks ago, this team in Baltimore is built to win. Now I think they put a big microscope on Lamar Jackson, and this is that deciding year of whether they move on from him or not. And a lot of people want to talk about, and I said this, Diego Pavia, I think, has an opportunity to go in and take over that team. Now here come the whole comparisons to Johnny Manziel. I'm sorry, but Diego Pavia is nowhere near the level of Johnny Manziel. Diego Pavia is a young kid. He's going to say stupid stuff. He's going to do stupid stuff. But the do stupid stuff part, he's keeping legal. And now the most recent video of him hitting on a chick at a UFC fight. So what? He's a young guy who was hitting on a girl. So what? Why does that make him look bad? 20 years ago, when I was in my youth, in my 20s, how do you meet a girl? You didn't have we had the internet, but there weren't really like dating sites or anything yet. You go out and meet one. And you talk to him. And that's all he was doing. By the way, that girl got fired like an hour later because, apparently Dana White wasn't happy with her live streaming. So there's that too. But I think the microscope is going to be on Lamar Jackson this year. I think this is going to be the year where the Baltimore Ravens decide on whether they move on from him or not. They moved on from their coaching staff last year. Now they got to look at the players. And Lamar Jackson, I bet, is number 1 on that list. AFC title game or bust. Does he have to win it? No. He's just got to get them there. He's got to show the progress. And he's got to show that this team is worthy of being in those big game situations. And whether Diego Pavia takes over the team next year or in 2027 or not, right now is kind of irrelevant. They can go out and bring in a veteran quarterback to take over the team for a year while Diego progresses. Because there are going to be a couple veteran quarterbacks who are going to be free agents next year that teams are going to be able to move on. They can also trade. They can also trade for a quarterback to come in and take over the team for a year until they get Diego up to where he needs to be to take over the team. And that's the thing. An image thing, the arrogance, he's young. Young kids in this day and age have that. The problem is he's just in a bigger spotlight because he's a famous quarterback coming out of college, got Vanderbilt back up to a winning team. By the way, he's been a winner everywhere he's gone. So the arrogance is there. He's a young kid. And that's just how things are today. These young kids, they have that arrogance. But he's not getting in legal trouble for it. He's just being his age. So Baltimore, I think, makes that decision after this season. They put that stamp on Lamar Jackson and saying, this is where you need to get us. If not, we're moving forward. And they could trade for or sign a veteran quarterback to take over the team for a year to get Diego to where he needs to be, and then Diego takes over in 2028. Right now, I believe he can be the guy to progress and be the future quarterback of the Baltimore Ravens. And I'm probably the only person that believes that. That's okay. I don't care. everything is so wide open right now. Why? Because we are only 2 weeks in to camps opening up, 2 weeks into mandatory, meetings and mandatory things opening up. Things can change, and I know that. My mind can change come mid-season about it. But as of right now, it's my opinion. I could be completely wrong on it, but that's okay. It's how I feel right now. So we'll have to see. But Aaron Rodgers returning to Pittsburgh, yes, it's the safe bet. Yes, it's the best bet right now because I'll say this right now. Bringing in a Cooper Rush or Teddy Bridgewater would not have been the move. No. The only other move that I think Pittsburgh should have or could have done was trade for Mac Jones. And Mac Jones could have kept them, gotten them to another winning season until Drew Aller is up to the par of playing and becoming a starter next year. College Game Day. They announced their first 2 shows for the 2026 college football season. The first show is going to be taking place in Baton Rouge, Louisiana for the Clemson and LSU game. And then week 2 is going to be in Austin, Texas for the Ohio State and Texas game. Now, normally we don't see these big games in college football taking place this early, which is crazy. I know last year we had an early big game happen in week 0 or week 1, which was an amazing game. But it's very rare to kind of see these big games like an Ohio State-Texas game take place this early in the season. These games, these matchups right here are going to be significant to the top 25 rankings. And speaking of top 25 rankings, CBS has dropped their early spring rankings, and we are going to talk about that on the Tuesday edition at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. As we will talk more into college football on the Tuesday edition of the Huddle podcast. But we are going to talk about those spring rankings. Okay. Devon Achane, running back of the Dolphins, signed a 4-year, $68 million extension, $32 million guaranteed. So he's going to be a Dolphin for the next 4 years at least. Well, that's the expectancy. Like I always say, I don't think contracts matter. Teams move on players after year 1 of a contract. So, but he is expected to be there for the next 4 years. Paid $68 million, 32 guaranteed, puts him in the same realm as Breece Hall, basically. So almost like he's tied for second as the highest paid running back in league history, or second highest paid running back in league history. This is a good move by the Dolphins, I think, because you look at the state of Miami right now. No Tyreek Hill. They got rid of Waddle. Tua's gone. They bring in Malik Willis. Malik is going to be the guy. They need to build around Malik Willis. And they're starting that with the running back position, Devon Achane. And Devon Achane has been proven to be a hell of a running back. So I like this move for the Miami Dolphins. I know they may not have the best season. They're not looking good right now. But Miami has surprised us on many different occasions. They've had seasons to where you looked at them and were like, oh, they ain't got the team to do it. And then they go 10-6 and make the playoffs before we had the 17-game season. Or they went 9-7 and made the playoffs. Like, we've seen that by Miami before. So I'm kind of keeping an open mind on how good Miami's going to be this year. I know a lot of people think that they're going to crap the bed and just be a bad team and go like 4-13 or 3-14. I'm kind of keeping an open mind to the Miami Dolphins right now because I'm kind of curious to see what else they build on. You got to remember, we have a couple free agent wide receivers out there yet. And Tyreek Hill, yeah, they cut contract from him, but they could still go out and say, hey, Tyreek, do you want to come back for one more year? They signed him to a 1-year, $8 million deal, and he plays another year. Deebo Samuel is still on the market. Hasn't been signed yet. Has been proven to be one heck of a wide receiver, a guy that could go in and help build this team. Doesn't have to be a long-term thing. He could be a guy to go in there for a year and say, hey, well, I'll help you build. As you guys bring players in, I'll help you guys kind of, look like, help you compete at least. So I don't think Deebo Samuel to Miami would be a bad move. But I like this Devon Achane move. I really do. So you don't think Tyreek is coming back? Practically one leg skipped out of Miami. I mean, again, you just never know. There's been a couple months that have passed since the season has ended. And we don't know what happens in these buildings every day. Tyreek could have showed up yesterday and they could have talked things out and straightened out whatever bull crap they had to deal with. We never know. That's why I say I keep an open mind for Miami to see what they're going to do moving forward. Because people are thinking that they're going to be a crap team. I'm not saying that they're not going to be a bad team. Right now you look at it and it's like things aren't looking good in Miami. But I'm still keeping an open mind because we still got a long off season. It's only May. They can make any type of move possible. There's a couple free agent guys out there that are still worthy of being on teams and getting 1 year, $6, $7, $4, $8 million contracts to come in and help them, progress and help them build and compete and everything. So, the questionable contracts that I look at are some of these guys like a David Njoku. David Njoku got a 1 year, $8 million deal. Okay. That contract right there, questionably for me, because David Njoku is a good tight end. So thinking, why didn't the Chargers give him a bigger contract? Then I think, all right, they might wait until next year to extend him because the cap space is going to be bigger. So that's some of these players that are getting the 1 year contracts, I think they'll end up getting the bigger contracts in 2027 because there's going to be more cap space available for teams to be able to extend them. So some of these players that are getting the 1 year deals, I think will be extended with some of the teams they've signed with this year. Michael Penix Jr. coming off his injury 6 months ago, his ACL tear, he is back on the field and practicing. He is at camp with the Atlanta Falcons doing workouts. So I know there's a lot of question on whether he's going to be the starting quarterback in Atlanta this year. I don't think he will be, but he's going to be ready to go at a moment's notice because he's back on the field after his ACL tear 6 months ago. So good on Michael Penix Jr. Good to see him back on the field. Last but not least, season 3 of Quarterbacks on Netflix will debut on July 14th. July 14th. I am so happy about this because Quarterbacks is one of my favorite documentaries. One of my favorite docuseries, I'll say. There's 2 seasons of Quarterback, 1 season of Wide Receiver on Netflix, and now season 3 is coming out on July 14th. July 14th is my 40th birthday. So I am excited for one of my favorite docuseries to premiere season 3 on my birthday. Jaden Daniels, Jaden Daniels of the Washington Commanders, Joe Flacco of the Cincinnati Bengals, Baker Mayfield of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and Cam Ward of the Tennessee Titans are going to be the quarterbacks of focus for season 3 of Quarterbacks. This is the first time that they are doing 4 quarterbacks. They usually do 3. Season 1 was Kirk Cousins, Patrick Mahomes, and Marcus Mariota. Season 2 was Kirk Cousins, Joe Burrow, and Jared Goff. So we are getting 4 new quarterbacks for season 3, which is awesome, and I'm excited for this. Love Quarterback. If you did not see Quarterback season 1 or 2 or Wide Receiver season 1, I recommend it. I highly recommend to go check out that docuseries. It is a fun watch, and it is a kind of a sneak peek of the behind the scenes of a NFL quarterback or wide receiver of everyday life. And I'll say this right now, it's not like, the WWE show. I mean, the WWE one is a whole different breed, and I'm not the biggest fan of that one, but I still watch it because I'm a wrestling fan. But I'm not the biggest fan of the fact that we see everything we see because my old school brain, I know there's still kayfabe in a sense, but kayfabe, for the most part, is kind of gone. And it kind of sucks. I like that. I want to be surprised when it comes to pro wrestling, but those days are gone. People know way too much. And, Yeah. So that's it for the news, guys. We're going to take 30 seconds here on the Huddle Podcast. When we get back, we're going to dig deep into the 2026 NFL season. So we'll be right back in about 30 to 45 seconds here on the Huddle Podcast. I always say during the break that Night Drive is a jam. Like this is such a jam. Like I enjoy this one. I love playing music. Let's turn it up. I one day want to see them play vocals to this. Like I want to see them put vocals to this music. Like, just imagine what they can put to this. Like, this is, I don't care what anybody says. This is a jam. All right, guys. I put the wrong banner up anyways. It's supposed to be this one. Guys, make sure you're heading over to the Huddle Podcast on social media after we get off air here today. Over on TikTok, Instagram, X, and on Epic Studios. You're going to hit that follow button. Over on the YouTube, you're going to hit the subscribe button. That's how you follow on all the social medias for the Huddle Podcast. You can also follow on the Twitch channel as well. All the links to our social media bios, all the links to our social medias are in the Twitch bio. You just click on the one you desire to go to. Because not everybody uses every social media. I know that. So click on the one you desire to go to. And help us build the Huddle Hub Podcast through the rest of the 2026 NFL offseason and beyond. Gotta love that jam. It's such a good jam. Whew. All right. So we are going to get into the NFL schedule. Okay. NFL schedule release was on Thursday. Now, I did a show on Thursday night after the NFL schedule release, and we kind of dug into the schedule release a little bit, but not very deep. Didn't have a lot of time to prepare for the schedule release, okay? Now, you're probably thinking, well, Mike, you had Wednesday night to prepare. I had Wednesday night to prepare, but not a lot. Why? Because we got some holiday games. We got all the international games announced, but we didn't get the Sunday night, Monday night, Thursday night games announced. We didn't get the bye weeks announced. We didn't have the full, spectrum, all right? And I got out of work a little later than I expected to on Thursday. I literally had 40 minutes to prep for Thursday's show after getting home from work, right? Because the schedule release happened 10 minutes before I got out of work. I got home at 8:30 and went live at 9. So I had 30 minutes to kind of prep. But in between then, I had to take care of everything I had to take care of when I got home. So cut that time in half, 15 minutes to prep. So I got together what I could and kind of did an hour dive into what we got. But then I had some prep time between then and now. So I was able to prepare a lot more. Okay, and I said that today's show is probably going to run a little longer. We're 5 minutes away from off time, right? Because we normally run 60 minutes. Said it. We're going to run later today. We are. We're going to run later today. Okay. So, yeah. So let's start off. Number one. And I had everything in order, but now I don't. Because we're going to start off with how I have things prepped from bottom to top. And the first thing that we're going to talk about is the amount of primetime games everybody has. Every team has, okay? Now, the Rams are in first place with 7 primetime games this season, okay? I think the Rams are a huge focus in the 2026 NFL season. Why? Because they have 7 primetime games. I mean, they are getting the spotlight put on them like crazy. 7 primetime games. And the reason why we're doing this first is because we're going to talk about all the primetime games. And you are going to hear the Los Angeles Rams a lot. A lot. Like, as I was prepping for this today, these past couple days, I was looking at the Thursday night games. I've seen the Rams a couple times. Monday night, the Rams a couple times. International, the Rams. Sunday night, the Rams. Holidays, the Rams. And I'm like, God, man, it's like everything is Rams. And I was like, how many primetime games do they got? They have the most this season with 7. Okay. The teams that have 6 primetime games this year, the Bills, Packers, Chiefs, and Seahawks. The teams with 5 primetime games this year, the Bears, Cowboys, Patriots, Eagles, and 49ers. The teams with 4 this year, the Ravens, Lions, Texans, Vikings, Giants, and Steelers. With 4 primetime games this season. With 3 primetime games this season, the Falcons, Panthers, Bengals, Broncos, Jaguars, Chargers, and Bucks. Okay? And then the teams that have 1 primetime game this year, the Browns, Colts, and Saints. Now, there are teams that don't have any primetime games. We have a couple. The Arizona Cardinals, Miami Dolphins, Las Vegas Raiders, Tennessee Titans, and the New York Jets. All do not have a primetime game this year. Okay, so those are the counts for primetime games this year. And like I said, I feel like the Rams have a huge, huge microscope on them to the fact that they have the most primetime game count in the 2026 NFL season. And we're going to get into all the primetime games in a few moments. Okay, but now we're going to talk about bye weeks. All right. Now, all the teams' bye weeks are set. There's going to be no flexing of bye weeks, no nothing. We know that never happens. Your team's bye week is set. So, bye weeks start in week 5, and there's only 2 teams that have a bye week that week, and that is the Carolina Panthers and the Kansas City Chiefs. Early bye week for these teams. The Philadelphia Eagles back in 2024, okay, their Super Bowl year, when they won Super Bowl 59, had a week 5 or a week 6 bye week. And that got me very, nervous, right? Because you knew that this team was good, but were they good enough to run the table after having a week 5 or a week 6 bye week? And they proved they were. I mean, obviously, they raised the Lombardi Trophy and beat the Kansas City Chiefs favorably, might I add, while having that early bye week, right? So the Chiefs and the Panthers both have that early bye week in week 5. Your teams in week 6 are the Bengals, Lions, Dolphins, and Vikings, okay? Week 7 bye week is the Bills, Jaguars, Chargers, and Commanders. Week 8 is the Houston Texans, the New Orleans Saints, the New York Giants, and the San Francisco 49ers. Week 9, there's only 2 teams, the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Tennessee Titans, both having a bye week. In week 10, the Bears, Broncos, Bucks, and Eagles have the bye week. In week 11, this is the week with the most teams on a bye week. This is 6 teams: the Falcons, Browns, Packers, Rams, Patriots, Seahawks. Okay. And then the final bye week is week 12 or week 13. So they skip week 12 because week 12, I believe, is going to be Thanksgiving week. So there's never bye teams on Thanksgiving week. So week 13 is the Ravens, Colts, Raiders, and Jets. So very favorable bye weeks after. I always say it that I think the teams that have a bye week from week 10 and and further, like week 10, week 11, and week 13 bye teams have more the advantage of being the freshest teams. And the teams from week 10 and beyond, Bears, Broncos, Bucks, Eagles, Falcons, Browns, Packers, Rams, Patriots, Seahawks, Ravens, Colts, Raiders, Jets. Okay. Now let's look at these teams from week 10 and beyond, and let's see which ones were playoff teams. The Bears were a playoff team. Broncos were a playoff team. The Bucks were not. The Eagles, playoff team. Okay. The Falcons were not. The Browns were not. The Packers, playoff team. The Rams, playoff team. Patriots, playoff team. Seahawks, playoff team. Ravens were not a playoff team. Colts were not a playoff team. Raiders were not a playoff team. Jets were not a playoff team. Okay. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. 14 teams from week 10 and beyond on a bye week. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 50% of the field were playoff teams. Okay. Now, if the playoffs were not broken up into two conferences, AFC, NFC, you have 7 teams on each side. If it was just, if we didn't have the conference splits and it was just a mixture of playoff teams, let's say, the Eagles were the 1st seed and the Rams were the 16 seed. If they did it through a 1 through 16 basis, 50% of the field from week 10 and beyond with bye weeks are playoff teams. So they make the playoffs because they're fresh. That's why I always think that teams that have a week bye week from week 10 and on have a better advantage, especially if they are in a above or an at or above 500 level. There's a 50% chance that they're going to make the playoffs. 50% chance. So, but those are the bye weeks for the 2026 NFL season. Okay. Now, let's get into the first day of games as far as night games. I got to get my notes here. Okay. All right, let's start off with the Monday Night Football games. Monday Night Football matchups. The first Monday Night Football game of 2026 is the Denver Broncos heading out to Kansas City to take on the Chiefs. As we know, Bo Nix got hurt in the divisional round of the playoffs, very last play, basically. And Patrick Mahomes back into the 2025 season got hurt. These two guys are expected to start week 1. It is very likely that we will see Bo Nix and Patrick Mahomes both on the field for week 1 to kick off the 2026 Monday Night Football schedule. Okay? I don't think we're going to have backup quarterbacks in there. It seems like this is going to be a very good game to start off, and it is an AFC West matchup. So that's another thing I looked at too, is division games that are happening on these primetime games. Week 1, the Broncos and Chiefs, AFC West. Week 2, the New York Giants and the Los Angeles Rams. It's in Los Angeles. Week 3, the Philadelphia Eagles head out to Chicago to take on the Bears. Week 4, the Falcons play the New Orleans Saints in New Orleans. That is an NFC South matchup. Okay, so second division matchup in 4 weeks. Week 5, the Bills head out to Los Angeles to take on the Rams. Week 6, the Washington Commanders head out to San Francisco to take on the 49ers. Week 7, the Dallas Cowboys head to Philadelphia to take on the Eagles. That's an NFC East matchup. Week 8, Chicago Bears head out to Seattle to take on the Seahawks. Week 9, the Buffalo Bills head out to Minnesota to take on the Vikings. Week 10, the Los Angeles Chargers head out to Baltimore to take on the Ravens. Week 11, Cincinnati Bengals head out to Washington to take on the Commanders. Week 12, the Carolina Panthers head out to Tampa Bay to take on the Buccaneers in an NFC South matchup. So the second NFC South matchup on Monday Night Football. First one's the Falcons and Saints. Second one is the Panthers Bucks. So all the NFC South teams play on Monday night, and it is different matchups. So the NFC South has the lock on Monday night there. Okay. The Week 13 matchup, the Cowboys head out to Seattle to take on the Seahawks. Week 14, the Pittsburgh Steelers head out to Jacksonville to take on the Jaguars. Week 15, huge matchup, could possibly have playoff implications in it. The New England Patriots head out to Kansas City to take on the Chiefs. Week 16, the New York Giants head out to Detroit to take on the Lions. And Week 17, the Houston Texans head out to take on the Green Bay Packers. That's the Monday Night Football matchups. Now, some of the matchups I'm looking forward to on Monday night. Number one, that Broncos-Chiefs game. Looking forward to it. Week 3, Eagles and Bears. Week 4, Falcons and Saints. Week 5, Bills and Rams. Week 7, Cowboys, Eagles. Week 8, the Bears and Seahawks. Week 9, the Bills and Vikings. Because I'm kind of curious on who the Vikings quarterback is going to be. I do think that J.J. McCarthy will be the backup. I don't think he's starting this year. I don't. But the Bills and Vikings, I am kind of curious on. I'm the Panthers and Bucks in Week 12. The Steelers and Jaguars in Week 14. Patriots and Chiefs in Week 15. And the Texans, Packers in Week 17. So about 70% of the Monday Night Football games I am highly interested in and looking forward to. Some great matchups on Monday Night Football. Great matchups. Okay. Let's get into the Sunday night schedule. Okay. Sunday Night Football. Sunday Night Football to end the day of pretty much the end of the day of football. Kicking off with the NFC's matchup between the Cowboys and the Giants in New York. Well, in New Jersey, at East Rutherford, New Jersey, at MetLife Stadium. Then we got Week 2, the Colts head out to Kansas City to take on the Chiefs. In Week 3, the Rams head out to Denver to take on the Broncos. Some would say that this is an early Super Bowl matchup. Okay? And rightfully so. These two teams are built to get there. This could be a Super Bowl 61 matchup in February. So this could be a preview of it. But I'm going to run down and say if I'm looking forward to the game or not so we don't have to go back. Okay? So I am looking forward to the Cowboys and Giants in Week 1. Colts and Chiefs in Week 2. Rams and Broncos in Week 3. Week 4, the Detroit Lions head out to Carolina to take on the Panthers. Looking forward to that one. Week 5, the Baltimore Ravens head out to Atlanta to take on the Falcons. Week 6, the Cowboys head out to Green Bay to take on the Packers. I'm looking forward to that one. Why? Because of last year. Okay, we know what happened last year. That tie. That tie that got everybody talking. This matchup needs to happen, and it needs to happen on primetime where it is the only game on TV. We don't need any other games to distract us from focusing on this game. Okay, we need a winner. And I know different seasons and all that stuff. I know, blah, 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 blah. Who gives a crap? We need a winner. Bottom line. And my mind would be blown if these teams tie again. Just imagine if the Dallas Cowboys and the Green Bay Packers end up tying for a second year in a row. If that were to happen, then the NFLPA and the commissioner and everybody would need to consider adopting the college rule. They should already have done that. We don't need ties in the NFL. We don't have ties in hockey. I mean, we do have ties in hockey, but they have a point system as well that determines teams' favorability for playoffs. So hockey's a little different when it comes to ties. But we don't have ties in the NBA. We don't have ties in Major League Baseball. We don't have ties in college football, basketball, baseball, nothing. The NFL is basically, next to hockey, the only sport, the only organization that has ties. Get rid of them. Give us a winner. And if the Cowboys and Packers end up tying again this year on Sunday Night Football in prime time, where all the focus is on them, then you better consider adopting that college rule. That better be the first thing talked about during the meetings for 2027. I'm just saying. But Cowboys and Packers in Week 6 is a game I'm looking forward to. Week 7, the Kansas City Chiefs head out to Seattle to take on the Seahawks. I'm kind of not interested in this game. I know that's kind of weird. I think that's kind of weird to not be interested in this game, but this is a game I'm not looking forward to for some reason. I'm not. Week 8, the Philadelphia Eagles head out to Washington to take on the Commanders. Looking forward to that game. Week 9, the Tampa Bay Bucks head out to Chicago to take on the Bears. Week 10, Pittsburgh Steelers head out to Cincinnati to take on the Bengals in the AFC North matchup. I'm looking forward to that one. Week 11, the Minnesota Vikings take on the San Francisco 49ers. And not only is this game on Sunday night, but it is in Mexico City, Mexico, which is an international game. So an international game taking place on Sunday Night Football. Definitely looking forward to that one. New England Patriots take on the Los Angeles Chargers in Week 12. Houston Texans head out to Pittsburgh to take on the Steelers in Week 13. I'm looking forward to that one. Week 14, the Bills head out to Green Bay to take on the Packers. I'm looking forward to that one. Week 15, the Lions head out to Minnesota to take on the Vikings in an NFC North matchup. Week 16, Jacksonville Jaguars head out to Dallas to take on the Cowboys. Week 17, the Eagles head out to San Francisco to take on the 49ers. I'm looking forward to that one. And then Week 18, there's no matchup for Week 18. Why? Because we know that come Week 18, there's going to be a game that is flexed. If you look on every team's schedule, Week 18, it says TBD. Because depending on where those teams are at that time, they can end up getting flexed to the Sunday Night Football game. So the Week 18 matchup, in the past couple years, they've had a determination of who's playing on Sunday night in Week 18. But then games get flexed. So this year, they kept it open to a TBD, which was smart. Now fans know that in Week 18, if their team is not in a playoff race, they're playing at 1 o'clock. If their team is in somewhat of a playoff race, they're probably playing at 4:30. And if their team is definitely in a playoff race and playing for a division and a final playoff spot, they're playing Sunday Night Football. Steelers-Ravens last year. They were scheduled to play at 1 p.m. and they got flexed to the Sunday night game. So that's the Sunday Night Football schedule and the games that I'm interested in seeing. Let's hit the Thursday night matchups. Okay, Thursday night. This Thursday night schedule is probably one of the best Thursday night schedules ever. Like, this is a great Thursday night schedule. Like, this makes you look forward to watching football on a Thursday night. This does. Starting off in Week 2. Big Week 2 matchup. Detroit Lions heading out to Buffalo to take on the Buffalo Bills, and is the opening of New Highmark Stadium. A historic game right here, and I'm looking forward to it. Week 3, the Atlanta Falcons head out to Green Bay to take on the Packers. Week 4, the Pittsburgh Steelers head out to Cleveland to take on the Browns. I'm looking forward to that one. AFC North matchup. We're going to see how many division games happen on Thursday night. We have one so far. Week 5, Tampa Bay Buccaneers head out to take on the Dallas Cowboys. Week 6, the Seattle Seahawks head out to Denver to take on the Broncos. Another matchup I'm not looking forward to. Like, I feel like we got ripped off by Denver not making Super Bowl 60. And this should have been the Super Bowl matchup. Now I'm just not looking forward to it. I feel like it's something that just got torn away from us, and I've moved on. Because last year, once Philadelphia got eliminated, I was like, I'd like to see Denver and Seattle. I mean, after San Francisco lost, because I was rooting for San Francisco to win after Philly lost. But once Seattle moved on, I was like, it's going to be Seattle. I'd like to see them play Denver. Fucking Bo Nix gets hurt. Sorry for the cuss. I normally try to hold my cussing to a minimum here, but I was not happy about it. I'm not happy. I'm not looking forward to this. Week 7, the New England Patriots head out to take on the Chicago Bears. Week 8, the Carolina Panthers head out to Green Bay to take on the Packers. Looking forward to that one. Week 9, the Jacksonville Jaguars head out to Baltimore to take on the Ravens. Week 10, in a NFC East matchup, the Washington Commanders head out to take on the New York Giants. NFC East matchup, so that's 2 division games. I just want to make sure I didn't miss any. Bucks, Cowboys, no. Seahawks, Broncos, no. Patriots, Bears, no. Panthers, Packers, no. Jaguars, Rams, no. Okay. Week 11, we got another division matchup, AFC South. The Indianapolis Colts head out to Houston to take on the Houston Texans. Looking forward to that one. Week 12, the Denver Broncos head out to Pittsburgh to take on the Steelers. I'm looking forward to that one. Week 13, the Kansas City Chiefs head out to Los Angeles to take on the Rams. I'm 50-50 on this one. I'll say I'm looking forward to it. Week 14, the Minnesota Vikings head out to New England to take on the Patriots. Week 15, the San Francisco 49ers head out to Los Angeles to take on the Chargers. Week 16, on Christmas Eve, which is a holiday game, the Houston Texans head out to Philadelphia to take on the Eagles. Definitely looking forward to that one, and I'm thinking and planning on going to that game. So we'll see. And then week 17 wraps up with an AFC North matchup. The Baltimore Ravens head out to Cincinnati to take on the Bengals. Definitely a matchup I'm looking forward to. Again, I think this is the best Thursday night schedule in a while. Great matchups, really good matchups. But this is the reason why I say, like, this is just my personal preference of the games I'm looking forward to. That doesn't mean this isn't a great schedule. Like, this is an awesome Thursday night schedule. But I just have certain games that I'm personally looking forward to. Not saying I'm not going to watch the other games. I'm going to watch the other games. But I have the games that I'm looking forward to. And I have games that I'm kind of like, okay, I can relax on this game. Like Lions and Bills. I'm going to be rooting for the Bills. Okay. So let's just say I have a team I'm going to be rooting for during these games that I'm interested in. Okay. Let's just say I'm going to be a fan of a team that night. Okay. So Lions and Bills, Bills. Steelers and Browns. Sorry, Cam. Browns. Panthers and Packers. Panthers. Colts and Texans. Texans. Broncos and Steelers. Steelers. Chiefs and Rams. Rams. Texans and Eagles, obviously the Eagles, and then Ravens and Bengals, Bengals. Okay? So I'm going to be a fan of that team that night. And then by default, I'm an Eagles fan. So, that's the Thursday night matchups. Let's dig deep into the international games. We're going to save the holiday games for last. Yeah, we'll do the international games first. All right, so kicking off with week 1. For the international games, the San Francisco 49ers take on the Los Angeles Rams in Melbourne, Australia. Okay, that is the Thursday night matchup in week 1, September 10th. And the 49ers take on the Rams in Australia. Now, again, we talked about this many times. Coach Shanahan not happy that this is taking place in Melbourne because the 49ers are 5-1 in the last 6 matchups in Los Angeles. And taking away the whole, go to Melbourne and beat the Rams. Bottom line, that way you have the bragging rights of not only beating them in Los Angeles 5 of the last 6 times, but you also could say you beat them in Australia. Make your bragging rights even sweeter. Simple as that. Go beat them in Australia. Week 3, Baltimore Ravens. Dallas Cowboys taking place in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. That is on September 27th, and I believe that is also a Sunday night matchup, if I'm not wrong on that one. It is not. I thought they had this base as a primetime game, but oh no, this is a 4:30 game. Sorry. I just remembered. That is a 4:30 game. Week 4, Indianapolis Colts take on the Washington Commanders in London on October 4th. Week 5, the Philadelphia Eagles take on the Jacksonville Jaguars in London on October 11th. Week 6, the Houston Texans head out and take on the Jacksonville Jaguars in London. So the Jaguars 2 straight London games, as always. We're gonna mark down the division matchups as well here. So we got the 49ers, Rams in the West. Ravens, Cowboys, no. Colts, Commanders, no. Eagles, Jaguars, no. Texans and Jaguars are a South matchup. Week 7, the Pittsburgh Steelers and the New Orleans Saints play in the very first game ever in Paris, France on October 25th. If I was a Pittsburgh Steelers fan or a New Orleans Saints fan, I would be happy about this. I would be excited for this matchup, for this game alone. because you're making history. Playing the very first game in Paris, France, that is huge. That is huge for the game. That is huge for the sport of football. And playing over in Paris, France, it's gonna be a great game. It is. The Saints and Steelers, I think the Saints are going to be a hell of a lot better than they've been the past couple of years. I do. And now that Aaron Rodgers is back with Pittsburgh, I'm a little more comfortable saying that this is going to be a better game than what people are expecting. So, huge history-making thing. Week 9, Cincinnati Bengals and the Atlanta Falcons play in Madrid on November 8th. Week 10, the New England Patriots take on the Detroit Lions in Munich, Germany on November 15th. And then the final international game, the Minnesota Vikings and the San Francisco 49ers on Monday Night Football in Mexico City. And that is on November 22nd. So those are the international games. 2 division matchups, 49ers Rams in week 1 for the NFC West. And then week 6, AFC South, Texans and Jaguars. Okay. We're going to get into the holiday games. And I like this because my prep board here on the program is starting to shorten. You should see it. I have like 25 things prepped. And it's like, man, I got to get rid of some of this stuff. And I'm slowly getting rid of scrolls as we go along because I don't need them after today, which is great. Plus the banner I can get rid of once we're done here. So we're shortening because I have the UFL matchups, like the scrolls you see for the UFL. I literally have week 9 and week 10 already done. All I have to do is put in the records of the teams going into that week, and we're good to go. So, yeah. Last but not least, holiday games this season. Okay. Starting off with the Thanksgiving Eve game between the Green Bay Packers and the Los Angeles Rams taking place in Los Angeles. It is going to be on Netflix, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then we get into the Thanksgiving Day games. 1 o'clock game is going to be between the Chicago Bears and the Detroit Lions in Detroit on CBS, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And that is an NFC North matchup. So we got division games happening even during the holidays. Look at that. Second Thanksgiving Day game is at 4:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Fox. The Philadelphia Eagles head out to Dallas to take on the Dallas Cowboys in an NFC East matchup. So we got a North matchup at 1 o'clock. We got an East matchup at 4 o'clock. And then the nightcap on Thanksgiving night on NBC and Peacock. The Kansas City Chiefs head out to take on the Buffalo Bills at New Highmark Stadium. That's going to be a great matchup. These Thanksgiving Day matchups are freaking amazing. Like, how are you... Like, Thanksgiving Day is normally, like, concentrate on food. I don't think I'm going to be able to concentrate on food. Like, I'm going to be more concentrated on what's happening on TV, on the field, in every one of these matchups. I'm just saying. Like, every matchup is going to be awesome on Thanksgiving Day. So, the Black Friday game, the Denver Broncos head out to Pittsburgh to take on the Steelers. And that is going to be happening at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Amazon Prime. Okay, so if you don't have Amazon Prime and you're a Steelers fan or a Broncos fan, you better go get it. Because that's where you're going to be able to see the Black Friday game. Okay? Then we get to Christmas. Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. First off, Christmas Eve. The Houston Texans head out to Philadelphia to take on the Philadelphia Eagles. And that is going to be taking place at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Amazon Prime. And then on Christmas Day, the in an NFC North matchup, the Green Bay Packers head out to Chicago to take on the Bears. That is a 1 o'clock start time on Netflix. Then we got the Buffalo Bills heading out to Denver to take on the Broncos at 4 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That is also a Netflix game. And then the nightcap on Christmas night, the Los Angeles Rams head out to Seattle to take on the Seahawks in an NFC West matchup on Fox. 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time start time. Those are the holiday games. Now, the games I'm looking forward to on the holidays. The Broncos at the Steelers on, let's start with Thanksgiving Eve. The Packers at the Rams on Thanksgiving Eve. Looking forward to it. The Broncos at the Steelers on, let me start over. On Thanksgiving Eve, the Wednesday night before Thanksgiving, Packers at the Rams. Looking forward to it. Thanksgiving Day, the Bears at the Lions. Looking forward to it. Eagles at the Cowboys. Looking forward to it. Chiefs at the Bills. Looking forward to it. Black Friday, Broncos at the Steelers. Looking forward to it. Christmas Eve, Texans at Eagles. Looking forward to it. Christmas Day, Packers at Bears. Looking forward to it. Bills at Broncos. Looking forward to it. Rams at Seahawks. Looking forward to it. So every holiday game, amazing. The holiday games, the lineup is rocking, and I'm looking forward to it. So, all right, guys, that's it. That's all we got. 30 minutes longer than we normally run, but that's everything we got today. That's it. So, with that being said, guys, we're going to get out of here. Before we do, make sure you head over to the Huddle Up Podcast over on social media, over on TikTok, Instagram, Epic Studios, and on X at the Huddle Up Pod. You're going to hit that follow button. Over on the YouTube, you're going to hit the subscribe button. That's how you follow. And if you go over to the Twitch channel, make sure you hit that follow button as well. All of our social media links are in the Twitch bio. You click on the one you desire to go to, because I know not everybody uses every social media. Hit that follow or subscribe button. Help us build the Huddle Up Podcast through the rest of the 2026 NFL offseason and beyond. If you want to follow me on social media, you can find me at MetalMike714 all across socials, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and X. I don't do much on my personal socials. I go live once in a while and do some video game streaming, but not a lot. Not a lot. I know. So, it's where you can follow me. You might catch me live once in a while playing Fortnite or something. I don't know. But I'll be back here on Tuesday afternoon, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, talking about the UFL finishing off Week 8. We're going to get you guys ready for Week 9. All the news that comes out between now and then in the world of football. And we are going to do, it is considered the preseason top 25 in college football. It is the CBS Sports 138 top 25 post-spring rankings. We're going to talk about those and so much more on the Tuesday edition of the Huddle Podcast. So come join me, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on Twitch and on YouTube. With that being said, guys, be good to each other, be kind to each other, take care of each other, be patient with each other. Remember, the world is not moving as fast as you think. Until Tuesday afternoon, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, you guys have a great rest of your weekend. I'll see you guys Tuesday. Deuces.